The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and forward the video. We need all the support. Historically, there were many pandemics and war-related deaths, like the year 1918 H1N1 Spanish flu, which killed around 50 million people worldwide, and the latest year 2020 COVID-19, which has so far affected 50 million people and killed 1.2 million people. There were wars which resulted in casualties, like 6 million Jews were killed during the Holocaust and 200,000 Japanese were killed in the nuclear bombings. But the worst of causes, which will result in 500 million people getting affected and millions of deaths, is brewing right under our noses. Prediabetes is far more deadly than any pandemic and wars mankind has ever seen. Prediabetes provides a window of opportunity to delay or completely eliminate the onset of diabetes if certain lifestyle changes are made in early stages of prediabetes. Before we understand why is prediabetes more deadly than COVID-19, we need to understand what is prediabetes. A prediabetes stage is a metabolic disorder of the body in which the blood sugar levels are not elevated enough to be called as diabetes level, but the blood sugar levels are above normal levels. Why is there sugar in the blood? The food that we eat consists of three macronutrients: carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. During the process of digestion in the GI or gastrointestinal tract, the carbohydrates are converted to glucose, proteins to amino acids, and fat to fatty acids and glycerol. In the stomach, the food is processed by a fluid called as gastric juice and get turned into a slurry called chyme. The chyme is then gradually passed on to the small intestine. In the intestine, majority of broken down macronutrients like sugars, fatty acids, and amino acids are absorbed. The absorbed macronutrients enter bloodstream through various mechanisms like diffusion. So, the sugar in the blood comes through breakdown of carbohydrates or starch from the food we eat. The liver stores, produces, and releases sugar in the blood depending on the body's need. Sugar is stored in the liver and muscles in the form of glycogen. The basic building block of all living organisms, including humans, is cells. Mitochondria are the kitchen of the cell where energy from food is converted to a form that can be used by the cell to perform its functions. There are several essential chemical processes going on in the cell, converting food to energy, converting food to essential compounds required for functioning of the cell, eliminating wastes or products which are not used by the cell, and transfer of substances to and from cells where required. All these processes combined together represents the chemical reactions going on inside a cell or inside the multicellular organism and are termed as metabolism of the body. Metabolic chemical reactions are of two types, anabolic and catabolic. Catabolic reactions convert food to energy, while anabolic reactions generate compounds for functioning of body using energy. The form of energy or currency of energy that can be used by the cells is called ATP. When the cells need energy to function, they will convert the glucose, amino acids, and fatty acids available in the blood to ATP, and hence glucose in the blood is consumed for energy and other functions. Pancreas secrete a hormone called insulin. Insulin in turn takes the excess amount in the blood and stores it either in liver, fat cells, or muscle cells. When a human has diabetes, there is not enough generation of the hormone insulin from the beta cells of the pancreas, which result in lower absorption of glucose from the blood to the cells and hence lower anabolic or metabolic rate. For this reason, diabetes is called as a metabolic disorder. In pre-diabetes stage, there is sufficient insulin produced by the pancreas, but for some reason, the cells develop an insulin resistance due to which the effectivity of insulin decreases and elevated blood glucose level triggers more and more secretion of insulin. This higher concentration of insulin triggers conversion of glucose into fatty acids which gets stored in the liver and fat cells. Hence, the pre-diabetics will have higher BMI or body mass index in most cases. The food that we eat is source of energy, and this energy is the capacity to do work for the body. The body through catabolic and anabolic reactions spend the energy from food. For a normal person, an optimum composition of the three macronutrients for daily calorie requirements can be 45% from carbohydrates, 20 to 35% from fat, and 15 to 20% from proteins, along with 25 grams of dietary fibers. For people prone to diabetes, the carbohydrate source should be such that it is not easily absorbed by the body, and the carbohydrate should slowly get released to the blood, avoiding a quick spike in blood glucose levels post meals. Simple sugars are a strict no for people prone to diabetes. Complex carbohydrates with low GI or glycemic index and GL or glycemic load and good proportion of fibers can be consumed such that the blood sugar levels do not rise beyond normal values. There are lots of hidden carbohydrates and calories in our food which should be counted and limited in intake. For example, even though the GI of grapes is 46, a glass of grape juice can have 14% sugars and can elevate blood glucose levels pretty quickly, while bread, pasta, rice, cakes, chocolates, ice cream, soda, all of these food items will throw off blood sugar levels from the normal ranges and should be completely avoided. But what happens to the fat that we eat? The dietary fat or triglycerides that enter the body influence the metabolism of an organic molecule inside the body called cholesterol. Since fats are not soluble in blood, cholesterol needs a mode of transportation to various cells. These modes by which cholesterol is distributed in the body are specialized particles called lipoproteins. There are several types of these particles like chylomicrons, very low density lipoprotein or VLDL, intermediate density lipoprotein, low density lipoprotein or LDL, and high density lipoprotein HDL. LDL is the prime cholesterol distributor among various cells of the body, and HDL brings back all the unspent cholesterol back to liver. So, LDL results in higher cholesterol while HDL results in lower cholesterol in the blood. The LDL cholesterol forms plaque in the arteries, which can ultimately cause strokes and heart attacks, causing death. People prone to diabetes are particularly at risk of developing plaque because the smooth surface of the arteries are affected by the abrasive blood glucose, and hence the arteries provide a site for the LDL to stick, and over a period of time it becomes a lump of plaque. What to do when you are pre-diabetic? It is important to take pre-diabetic stage seriously because the actions to bring back the blood sugars to normal are easier than in diabetes. The steps taken during pre-diabetic state can either prolong entry to diabetes or completely reverse the abnormality in the insulin and glucose metabolism. There are few steps which can be taken. Gain lean mass. Decrease the amount of fat in the body by eating a calorie deficit diet. Burn off the extra calories that you eat by performing cardiovascular and weight exercises like running and weightlifting. Check your blood glucose level regularly or multiple times a day to find the effect of diet on your body. Medical treatment of diabetes and pre-diabetes. Pre-diabetes. If lifestyle changes are not helping to regulate blood glucose levels from pre-diabetic stage to normal, and there is risk of bad cholesterol affecting cardiovascular system, your doctor may consider prescribing the only approved drug for prediabetes, that is metformin. Metformin helps to reduce insulin resistance and hence decreases the blood glucose levels. Diabetes. Oral drugs. A wide variety or class of drugs are used by medical practitioners to control blood glucose level in people suffering from diabetes. Injectables. When none of the methods prescribed, like lifestyle changes, food changes, and oral medication help to control blood glucose levels, artificial insulin as injectables will be prescribed by doctors to control the blood glucose levels. Bariatric surgery. The bariatric surgery alters the GI system and dramatically reduces weight due to lower food intake and absorption, and also alters the gut hormones, which completely reverses diabetes and promote health through weight loss and improvement in cardiovascular health. Duodenal mucosal resurfacing or DMR. This procedure is believed to alter the hormones involved in glucose metabolism in the same way as bariatric surgery. It is an endoscopic technique which comprises catheter-based mucosal lifting with saline and circumferential mucosal ablation with a hot fluid-filled balloon at the tip of the catheter. Complications of diabetes. Nerve damage leading to amputation of limbs. Causes high blood pressure or hypertension. Diabetes affects blood vessels in the retina of the eye and can cause loss of vision or blindness. Kidney diseases. High blood glucose levels cause damage to small blood vessels in the kidneys, leading to kidney failure and eventually death. A kidney failure requires expensive medical interventions like dialysis and kidney transplants. Diabetes may result in a heart attack and brain strokes due to blocked arteries or breaking of plaque and formation of blood clots. Heart attacks or strokes are a leading cause of death among diabetics. Avoid being pre-diabetic or diabetic. It's not a choice anymore and definitely not a risk worth taking.